Kimberly Young. Thank you for joining me. And in this second video, part of a series on how and why we use yoga props, I'm going to be discussing how we use a chair in yoga. So I'm sure that you can imagine that if we were doing a chair yoga class, a lot of the class could be done seated in a chair. But even if we're not in a chair yoga class per se, using it can still be helpful. And I like to use it for different reasons. One, to sit in the beginning of class. If when you're sitting on the floor, you find yourself kind of rounding and kind of fighting gravity, you might find it helpful to elevate, to actually sit on a chair so you can have your spine nice and tall and actually breathe more efficiently. So sitting in a chair when you're centering in the beginning of class can be very helpful. Another way we can use it is for support in standing poses. So say I'm doing a standing pose, and say I'm doing triangle pose. So triangle pose might not quite be accessible to us without strain anyway, if we take our hand to the floor or to a block. And in a case like that, having the hand on a chair can really be helpful. We can also use it in downward facing dog if going all the way down to the floor, or I should also back up a second, Parshvottanasana, which is side angle pose. Similar to triangle pose, having a chair when a block or the floor is not quite accessible, you can use a chair, okay? So another way that we can use it is in downward facing dog. Sometimes getting onto the floor is a little bit challenging or is just not inviting to us or helpful. Okay, so for downward dog, you can do this either with your hands on the back of the chair or on the seat of the chair. Either way is fine. Okay, so we would basically take the hands onto the chair and bring the feet back till they're in line with the hips, right onto the hips. The arms are extended forward, and I press the hands down into the chair, reach my hips up and back, and this just allows me to do that nice stretch in the spine and in the back body. The entire back body really gets stretched in downward dog. And that allows me to get to there without strain. And of course, you can put the hands on the seat of the chair instead. Another way we can use it is in any forward fold. So in any standing forward fold. Even seated ones, but that might have to be another video. But in seated and standing forward folds, sometimes having the hands or trying to reach for the floor just creates strain, or it just doesn't feel like it's really serving us. If you're trying to bring your hands to the floor, but the hamstrings are just saying, no, thank you, then what you can do instead is soften your knees a little bit, but keep your hips elevated and either take your hands to the shins, or you can use blocks under the hands, and I'll explain that more in the video on blocks. Or, again, you can use the chair, hands on the chair. And that could just give you a little bit of support there. And that's true with downward dog. Standing forward fold, which is called Uttanasana, or wide-legged forward fold. Okay, same thing. Or Parshvottanasana, which is this posture here. Okay, sometimes taking our hands to the floor is just not quite accessible yet. So even bending the knee a little bit and just taking a gentle forward fold here can feel therapeutic. Okay, another way that we can use a chair is for helping us with balancing poses, like tree pose, and even a little bit more challenging poses like half moon or warrior three. And I'll demonstrate briefly. So tree pose is a balancing pose on one leg, and you might have your foot on the floor at first, but having the hand on the chair helps you with balance. Eventually, we take the foot onto the calf, or maybe even to the inner thigh. And just having the chair here for a little bit of support is helpful. Okay, so this is tree pose, and this is using the chair. Another way we can use it is, like I said, in more challenging poses. So this might take some time, like warrior three. So warrior three is sort of like taking downward dog, but then we have one leg extended back, and it's a balancing pose. So from downward dog, we have one leg back, and as you can see, having the chair under the hands can be helpful. You can also have your hands against the wall, but for now we're just talking about the chair, so that's how we would do that. And another pose is called Ardha Chandrasana half moon. Ardha Chandrasana in Sanskrit, but in English it means half moon. And this is also a balancing pose. So we could take the hand underneath the chair or the chair underneath the hand when we take Ardha Chandrasana. Okay, so those are just some ways that we can use it for balancing. Now, another way we can use a chair is actually in relaxation pose to elevate the legs. So sometimes when we're lying on the back, when our legs are straight, it causes a little discomfort in the low back. So bending the knees can feel very therapeutic in that case. So you can lie on the back and place your your legs on the chair. It's also a nice gentle inversion, even if you can do relaxation pose with your legs straight. Trying this once in a while, or you could put your legs up on the edge of a bed, like if you're traveling and having to walk a lot. I love to just at the end of the day, just elevate my legs for a few moments. So I hope you found that helpful. This is not by any means the most extensive list. There are many ways that we can use a chair, but these are some of the most common ways. And I invite you to check out the next video, which is part of a series. And this next video is going to be on how we use yoga blocks. And if you're so inclined, please feel free to subscribe and maybe even hit that notification bell so that you get notifications when videos come out. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. Namaste.